Hello, good evening. Word of Gord, a quick sequel to the one of a few days ago. Another Maitreya channeling from about a month after the last one, May the 8th, from a couple of years ago. And this one is called On the Future of Religion. And I think it's particularly interesting. It is envisioned by myself and others in the Brotherhood who are devoted to this area of development that the religious impulse in man and its outward expression evolve from a dependence on sacred texts, the pomp and ceremony of ritual and competition among creeds for preeminence, towards a constant inner unfolding of the details of divinity within each individual. The architecture of externals, of course, has the imprimatur of tradition, upon which the weak-willed can lean and be reassured. But as man moves beyond his insecurities and illusions, he can acknowledge that this architecture has been erected on the bloody profits of conflict and the repression of the very individuality he now finds himself developing. As masters, we do not condone such historical hypocrisies, but we recognize their inevitability, given man's free will and multiplicity of desires and ego drives. At every such juncture, attempts are made to fashion growth opportunities for as many of the participants as are ready for such courageous action. And spirit guides are often the primary agents of such efforts. The inner path of soul development involves an increasing reliance upon the resources of the self, a self which can blossom only in a soil which supports the growth of individual choice at every juncture. And those choices inevitably threaten the various traditions of family, religion, and state, and throw the individual back upon the willpower required to exercise that choice. And as he, she moves in that direction, it becomes apparent that those choices are best leavened with compassion for the fears and ignorance of others. And in this manner, a strong spiritual consciousness is developed, one which endows the individual with the kind of commandment-free love and surrender to the mysteries, which modern teachers like Krishnamurti often spoke of in his many attempts to outline a truth that lies beyond paths and masters. The development of a compassionate willfulness outside of the teachings of any religion or ethical system, and the self-reliance which that implies, is certainly a path we envisage and encourage as man attempts to move beyond the herd instincts of mass movements into a true and lasting individuality. And although Krishnamurti's input on these matters is sometimes seen as destructive, or at least counterproductive, his shocking renunciation helped greatly in the breaking up of the old forms of dependence on externals, those crutches which help the weak to continue hobbling. And his example will inspire for generations to come. No one, not even the most determined and insidious weavers of manipulative black magic, whether traditional or technological, can interrupt the flooding of the Christ light onto the planet. And although many of the practitioners do not as yet know it, the struggle is over. and the Christ light licks at the edges of every recalcitrant sentient form, weakening its every wish to be wicked and sapping its lusts of their impetus. A golden age is indeed ahead, and although I would not be so foolish as to either deny the possibility of further suffering and destruction in the unfolding of the earth changes, or to predict any timetable, let it be understood that the opening and continuation of open communication between the physical and astral planes rapidly reduce the desperate sense of meaninglessness now experienced by tragedy survivors. Seeing the dead appear en masse on astrally linked screens, enjoying their post-disaster lives, will, as you may imagine, affect a radical alteration in the mass consciousness, which religions and political systems will be virtually powerless to halt, despite the inevitable charges of demonic trickery. We anticipate some state-sponsored efforts at manufacturing repressive dystopias based on illusions of shortage, fear of disease, and environmental collapse. But despite advances in technologically assisted deception, the rapid growth of intuition will prevent most and perhaps all such designs from succeeding. We are also envisioning a new outpouring of brotherly love across the planet, which should absorb all the higher teachings of all religions in its creation of a benevolent planetary consciousness. And if the landings and full public and physical appearance of at least some of your extraterrestrial visitors go as planned, this new planetary consciousness of complete equality under God might well be extended into a galactic one of a similar nature. Certainly the Galactic Federation, in which we masters play a small part, would appreciate more of your conscious participation. And in this, it is not unlike a small but prestigious university, which has the means to expand but lacks the necessary student applications from abroad. Please ponder on these possible outcomes as you each create your future out of the raw materials of your innate abilities and restrictions imposed by your current belief systems. And I shall remain, as ever, your guiding light and honored guest. Well, thank you for that, Maitreya. We have a couple of minutes left, but I'm not sure I can add anything of any great merit to that fine, short dissertation on the future of religion. Maitreya has such a way of being profound and concise and kindly, I feel. And I am, once again, honored to be his channel. And in the near future, we will do some more. Until then, I bid you all enjoy your stimulus packages from your governments as we move onwards into 2000.